On Tuesday, March the 30th at 6:33 p.m. at Council Chambers, 400 Center Road. I am here, as is CFO Pamela Rook and Municipal Coordinator Carla Duarte. And all of council and the CAO and the Public Works Manager are online, and I think I've got everybody. So we have quorum. I'm calling the meeting to order, and I'll put forward a motion for adoption of the agenda. I'll presume a second. Thank you, Councillor Bain. Are there any changes? I have some, but we'll go to the council members first. Anything else? There being none, I have two. The first one, which I believe everybody saw in their emails today, was for 5A under resolutions, and this is on-street parking fees. And the recommendation is the following motion: that the on-street parking fees in applicable locations be effective between April 1st or as soon as they can be implemented until October 31st. And the second amendment would be new business 7A. And this would be a request from council that staff arrange a closed meeting for council for the purpose being of the CAO's preparation for the CAO's 2021 review. And the request is that that meeting will be on April the 6th at 7 p.m. I'd ask staff to post and prepare an agenda for me and to invite, please. Are there any other changes, suggestions, amendments? There being none, please confirm the agenda by saying yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Public participation, my
Yes.
eyesight. Thank you very much, Councillor Kendall. My eyesight's not good enough to see if there's any public.
No.
There's no public, so there's no public participation. Reports, are there any by staff? I don't think so. Nope. Mayor, no. Council, no. Committees, no. Emergency, no. To the resolution, which, and this was put forward to run effective with the bylaw that's going to be approved following. So I've already read the motion, but just for clarity, the motion is that the on-street parking fees in applicable locations be effective between April 1st or as soon as they can be implemented until October 31st. I'll put forward that motion. May I have a seconder, please?
I'll second.
Thank you very much, Councillor Abbott. I'm not sure there's much to discuss about here, but if staff wants to, this would be the opportunity.
So this is brought forward because as we discussed this yesterday, we realized in terms of the signage that we're going to need to design and order, the question arose as to the length or the period during which this would be applicable, i.e. was it intended to be year-round or just seasonal? And if seasonal, from when till when? I think the consensus was that it ought to be seasonal. And I've suggested from April 1st to October 31st, but certainly open to hearing from council in terms of your thoughts on the applicability of that period. It is our first year trying this. I think there's going to be a little bit of trial and error, and I think we're going to probably learn some things along the way. And so perhaps it would be best to just set it up as an extended period. If council feels at some point down the road in September, for example, that we want to just shut it down or whatever the case may be, you could certainly do that at that point. But I'm just thinking at this point, just set it up for this period as suggested, and let's get it going. It's going to take us a little while to get the signage ordered and installed and implemented. So it'll be a bit of a process over the next month or two.
Thank you very much, CAO. To John, council members, any questions?
Am I looking at the right agenda? This is bylaw enforcement number 385. Is that what we're looking at here?
No, there's a resolution that I read in as the change to the agenda.
Oh, okay, I missed that. My apologies.
No problem. It's, again, just to recap, it it just sets the parking fees and locations between the 2 dates, April 1st and October 31st.
Got it.
And I guess, in terms of our credo of moving slowly, this seems to fit the picture.
So I don't have a question more than just a comment as per Dr. Bonnie's order yesterday, asking young people not to gather. As I was driving the old highway from Horseshoe Bay back here, I saw an enormous amount of young people gathering on one of the kind of cliff knolls, watching the sunset. I would dare say there was probably 40 plus to 60 people all gathered using the parking that is generally used by those that go to the Sunshine Coast for the weekend. So I think that implementing our parking sooner than later is going to be valuable. I foresee a problem.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Cunliffe. Councillor Abbott?
Yeah, I agree with the sooner rather than later. I guess to Peter's point about maybe ending it earlier, I'll probably be the one somewhere down the path promoting for us to extend it. I do think we should have bylaw enforcement year round. I know it's a cost and a budget issue, and we can look at that at another time, just exactly what the cost is and what the available budget is, depending on how much revenue we get from the fines and parking fees. So yeah, I'm good with sooner rather than later. And the other thing to Councillor Cunliffe's point there, I think we need to be putting something out in the village update, if we haven't already planned to, around what new sort of rules and regs that came out yesterday. And I'm assuming we're going to need to be telling residents that Tai Chi and other such actions in the hall are now suspended for 6 weeks or whatever it was.
I can say, Neville, that our Tai Chi instructor already sent out a notification to us that we on a hiatus this week, term ending, and we'll pick up again next week. And the first 2 sessions are scheduled by Zoom.
And I can add that Karen's been in contact with all the hall user groups and let them know of the change in circumstance. There is one group that still has authority or dispensation from VCH to continue her classes, and that's Tanya for the music in the morning classes. Falls under an educational component that is still allowable at this point in time. So her classes will continue. But the others are all ceasing for the time being.
We can put something in the village update as well, or
We could do, yeah.
CAO, you're on the same thing that I am with the coastal health, and I've just looked at their stuff, which I'm very sure you've got as well too. So just stitching and pasting it would make it a pretty easy deal on their latest news. So it's VCH community engagement, and they prep all the stuff there.
Yeah, we usually get a couple of emails a day with updates and tweaks and so forth as well from Metro and other sources. So,
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you're getting them and I'm not. Must be the only time. There we go. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Councillor Abbott. I think this is pretty straightforward. We need to move on. Any further questions before I call motion?
Sorry, just one quick question. Pam, maybe this is for Pam. Is there any, if we have more bylaw enforcement, is there any way to pay for that out of our COVID grant?
Yes, all of the extra bylaw enforcement we're getting over the regular precedent that was set in 2019 is being covered by the COVID money.
Thanks, Pam.
So for clarity, Norm, that was substantially, correct me if I'm wrong, CAO, that was one person, not all week, and some stretch on the weekend, but we're pretty much at the double stage.
Formerly, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and statutory holidays. And then in 2019, 2020, we added occasional days during the week. and extra people on weekends and so forth if the weather was good. So now we have 2 bylaw officers working full-time, being 35 hours a week, different start dates, but both covering 2 of them on for Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and holidays, and then 1 of them working regular Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So there'll always be somebody doing a 7.5-hour shift on every day, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays. There'll be 15 hours of coverage.
Thank you very much. Any final questions before I call?
Just one question, so a bit of an aside, I guess, on what Peter just had to say. So Peter, on the weekends where we have 2, will we be able to start one of them earlier for the early hikers?
Yeah, one will start around 8, finish at 3:30. The other will start at 3, finish at 10:30. Sort of the basic premise for Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and holidays. We can tweak that a little bit as the daylight hours change a little bit as well. Our plan, once we get up and running, is to go back to some of the people that previously worked for us to select a 3rd bylaw officer for coverage when one of the other first 2 are not available or sick or whatever the case may be, as well as those days that we anticipate, particularly on holiday weekends, where we might have higher numbers than normal, and we'll have extra staff on hand on those days. That's the plan. And that extra contingent will be covered by the COVID-19 grant funding.
Thank you very much, CEO. Any final questions? There being none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor, please confirm by saying yes.
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 Councillor Abbott, you're a yes.
Was I think Fred and I spoke at the same time.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Barmer, you're a yes. Thank you. Good. Passed. Moving on to bylaws. And this is bylaw notice enforcement number 385, 2006, amendment bylaw number 594, 2021. And this is on page 3 of your agenda. And the recommendation, which I'll put that forward as a motion, that bylaw notice enforcement number 385, 2006, amendment bylaw number 594, 2021 be adopted. This will be final reading. May I have a second, please? Thank you very much, Councillor Abbott. Okay, on discussion, staff, if you got a second here, this is the final.
Yeah, so you've given this 3 readings already. This is for adoption. The relevant information is on pages 15 and 16 of 33, setting out in the middle column the early payment penalty amendments, which are adjusted slightly from previous, so that there is an incentive to pay the fine as opposed to contest the fine. But the fines themselves for regular fine amount and late payment amounts stay the same as they were in 2020.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, any questions?
I have one. It's a little bit on the aside, but reading through the whole thing, I see there's no mention of towing as discussed by council. And towing is a form of enforcement, and it is clearly a penalty. So I wonder why it's not mentioned in here at all.
This is just the adoption of the bylaw amendments. Towing isn't part of the bylaw amendments. We're just amending the penalty amounts for the early payment penalty.
Yeah, but my point is that towing is a penalty, and you would think it would be mentioned in the penalty amendments.
No, towing is a policy. Certainly, it's a form of deterrent for people who contravene bylaws, but it's not included in this schedule, which is strictly financial penalties that are payable upon receipt of a bylaw contravention notice.
Well, I'll just say I see it a bit differently, but I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Any other questions?
I just had one. Page 15. So this is the actual bylaw, not the extract showing the changes. Item 8.1, fail to obey traffic control device. Shouldn't that align with parking 10.8 parking convention with a traffic control device? Or is 8 only if it's failure to obey a traffic control device that doesn't involve parking and stopping, I guess? I'm just wondering, those descriptions sound so close to each other. Shouldn't they both be the same fine?
I believe you picked up on the distinction, Councillor Abbott, and that has to do with 8.1 being I think a contravention of a moving violation type offense, but I would need to, I'll just quickly see if I can pull that up.
I looked at the actual bylaw, and I looked at the actual bylaw to see if I can understand that, and I think that is true. Well, that doesn't stipulate it, but I think that's the intent, I guess. I just thought it was a little confusing. When some just say, well, why didn't I get fined according to 8.1 instead of 10.8?
CAO, you're suggesting 8.1 is the speed camera?
I'm just having a quick look right now. But what people get charged under is a function of the direction that we give to the bylaw enforcement officers. So let me just quickly pull up 8.1, which is, I thought we had actually amended this under the 413. It still reads as 8A, B, C, D. A is every person must obey the directions, instructions, or prohibitions on or indicated by any traffic control device placed or erected in accordance with this bylaw or the Motor Vehicle Act. We've always, we've always instructed the officers to utilize section 10, A and H generally. A for parking where there's no parking provided or contrary to a meter. H under the requirement to have a permit if you're parked in a permit required zone and you don't have a permit. So 8A or 8.1, my initial reaction would be that this would be in respect of because it also references the Motor Vehicle Act. I'm thinking that we're talking about signage that indicates moving violations, doing more than 30 in a school zone, doing more than 40 within the village. However, these are not infractions or offenses or contraventions of the bylaw that our bylaw officers can ticket someone. So if somebody's doing more than 40 kilometers in the village, we cannot issue a ticket in respect of that infraction. However, a police officer can issue a ticket and would rely upon this section of our bylaw as well as the signage applicable in the zone in which the infraction occurred. Sorry, go ahead, Nye.
So my understanding was that 8.1 allows us to issue infractions for a variety of items. For example, no dumping, no parking 3-minute loading zone, no dogs in park, those types of violations. And then 10 is strictly to do with a vehicle. So 10A says in contravention of a traffic control device, which gives notice that stopping or parking is restricted or prohibited. Okay. So 8 is for general contraventions and 10 is specific to parking.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I just thought it might be easy to make them consistent. But fine, if you feel they're good and it's covered. So if I didn't stop at a stop sign, it would be 8-1, right?
No, that'd be a moving violation. Well, a police officer could issue it under 8-1, I think. There might be other sections that they might look at. Just off the top of my head, I'm not sure. But to Nye's point, if someone was idling for longer than 3 minutes in the underpass area, they could be issued a ticket, I think, under this provision. Maybe that's something that the Climate Action Committee wants to look at.
Can I actually speak to that? Ruth brought it to our attention that we actually have an anti-idling policy. And so 3 minutes sounds to me like too much. If you're parked, you're parked. So I think that that is where we should be going. I know that the West Vancouver School District implemented something of the sort over a decade ago, where you're not to sit in the school parking lot and idle under any circumstance. As soon as the car's stationary, the car gets shut off. I think that's the direction we should be moving.
Yeah, my understanding is that 3 minutes is the standard throughout the Lower Mainland, but if you want to change it, that's fine.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never heard of the 3 minute rule. So I would look to say that if you plan on being parked somewhere, then, or if your car's stopped, then your car's shut off. That would be my feeling.
Yeah, it might be, instead of doing it on the spot, I would suggest that perhaps that's something that the Climate Action Committee might want to take a look at and actually do a little bit of a survey of what others are doing and rationales involved in anti-idling bylaws before making that change. Just my thought on that.
Yeah, good suggestion. Thank you.
Okay. Be in addition to the agenda tomorrow night.
Yeah, I was well aware of the anti-idling prohibition, but I never realized there was a time on it. I assumed the same. You stopped outside the mailboxes, you turned your car off before you walked into the mail, and regardless if you're going to get back in 3 minutes.
Great.
Anyway,
Everyone,
let's move on.
fun that this topic is. We got 5 minutes till the next meeting. If there's any questions, please ask now. Otherwise, I'll call a motion. Motion is called. Please confirm your agreement by advising yes. Opposed, no.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Carrie. Thank you. The next piece was new business, and just to repeat, and this is council's request to host a meeting, and it'll be under the section of the community charter with respect to personnel. And the purpose of the meeting is to organize the 2021 CAO review. And the request is for staff is that meeting be arranged for April the 6th at 7 p.m. If staff could arrange after bringing us into the Zoom that I become the host and staff leaves. If staff could also prepare an agenda for me, that would be much appreciated. I have council's confirmation on this. Staff, any questions? CAO, any problems with that?
No, that's fine.
Thank you very much. I don't think this is a motion. This is just going to occur. Public questions and comments. I still don't see any public comment. Nope. Okay. Motion to adjourn, please. Thank you. Second, I will.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Please, yes, and we'll go to the line.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Get ready for the next one.
So before we go, we are staying on the same call though, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, we're staying the same. You don't have to dial in.
Okay, perfect.